find those friends, and then you become for that young man, or that you become the friend that they need too, because they're going to need you guys to get through certain things in life that are going to hit you. The second thing I've always thought about, especially more recently in the last decade, is that what the devil is doing is he's trying to tear that friendship away. He's trying to isolate each one of you guys in your own room, in your own life, and make you guys feel alone. That's what happens all the time, and that's what the devil wants. He wants you guys to feel alone and have and be isolated. And if you just look around you and see what some of the stuff is that is happening in this current culture, it is bringing young guys and girls in. I've told Declan and Chris this a million times, for the sake of it, but it's making people, instead of looking out, it's making them look down and in. And even physically, you can see it. When you see people on these devices or these TVs, or they're everything is coming, and it goes, it's bringing the vision down and in instead of up and out. So if your vision is, even just physically, if you're walking through the woods and your vision is down and in, you can't see where you're going. And it's the same thing in the moral life. If your vision is down and towards yourself, you are not going to see where you're going. And it's going to go against the thing that you need the most, and you need each other the most. So if your vision is down and you're just walking around like this through life and you're staring at these devices, just do yourself a favor. The next time you're in your classmates or out and about, just look at how people act with these devices. I'm a huge proponent that these things are really damaging. Really damaging. I have not allowed Christopher and Declan or any of my children to have them because I really believe they're damaging. Because it's making people self-centered. They're walking around like these little robots. And guess what? Guess what the number one thing that teenagers are fighting up against? Loneliness, depression, feeling alone, isolated. It's like, how can you be isolated when you're with some really good people? Well, they're all staring at these things. Well, we can talk to each other with this thing. So why don't you just talk to each other in person? So be really, really conscientious. If you have to use these devices, or your parents allow the technology of the video game, and they're not necessarily evil, not necessarily, but they can lead you to selfish and self-centered behavior. And that's going to take away that first thing I talked about of developing and holding really fast to a good friend. So be really careful on self-centered behavior. And we're, all of you guys, and I was there too, heck, I'm halfway still there. But it's very normal for a young teenage boy to be selfish. It's very normal. That's human nature. So you got to fight against it. All right, that's very normal to be like, oh, it's all about me. I want to be the best at this, the best at that, and best, just like a lot of these other talks that the guys gave us. You want to be the best at everything, and you're worried about how you look and how your hair looks because you want to look good for the ladies, and that's very normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But you fight against it a little bit, and you develop good friendships, and you really start devoting yourself to selfless behavior. If you guys could name one person that's a role model to you and tell me that that person is a self-centered person, I'll give you $1 million. There's not one person in here that has a role model. No matter, I'll bet $1 million right now that there's not one person in here that has a role model that's self-centered. Anybody that has a role model, whether it be a spiritual role model, a career role model, anything, sports role model, well, some of the sport, I better take my bet back. But a real role model, somebody you like, I want to be like that person. Or that's got somebody that I want to be like, and these people are not self-centered. They live for other people. We have in our faith, either the Catholic faith, we have the saints. You can think of them as role models. These are people that have lived an extraordinary life. And one of the things that's really striking about all these people, We have the Maximilian Kolbe from Auschwitz. You know, he's called the saint of Auschwitz. We could call him, and some of you guys might know his story. In the death camp, suffered for years, tortured, poisoned, beaten, and he's in the death camp, and there's a line of the guys. It's one of my famous people because it's common era. Like, I know that story. I've been to Auschwitz. I know what it looks like. I know what these guys went through. It's very. But he's in a line. Someone's gonna get killed. The German officer yanks out a father, and this guy steps forward. Maximilian Kolbe gives his life for this other person. Totally self-centered. And then they say you actually can, if you're in Auschwitz, the death camp, you can actually go to his cell, and you can see in his cell the crucifix. He would draw a cross right on the wall with his finger, dug it into the wall. You can see these little holy writings, things that would try to give him hope, you know. And the entire time, people around him, incarcerated in cells around him, said that the entire time he was there being tortured, starved for years, they heard him pray. They heard him singing joyful songs. Is that a self-centered person?
Yes.
That is not somebody that lives for himself. He lived, and he chose that. So my challenge, you know, Mr. Jim asked me to give a challenge. My challenge is live your life, find ways that you can do something for somebody else, and take the focus off of yourself. And if you can do that, and one of the guys said something about making the bed, doing the dishes. Don't have somebody ask you to do it. Just jump in and do the dishes. These are not heroic things. You're not going to get your name in the paper, and you're not going to get an award like Hoodie. You know, he didn't get the award. You're not going to get an award in the mail for doing it. But it will build you guys up to be somebody that's worthy of these awards later on. So that's my challenge. Pick something in your day-to-day life that's nothing special. Nobody might even notice it. But start living for somebody else versus yourself. And it's going to be, it'll do you guys a big favor. It'll make you grow into young men that this world needs. And I'm going to finish on how I started. Find somebody in your life that you can hang on to, because you're going to need it. We're not meant to fight this battle alone. There's no army out there that's a single unit, a one-man show. The best military man in the world is going to go down because you can't do it alone. You have to have a partner, a teammate, somebody that you can do it with. And that's going to be a huge help going through your high school years and into your college years. It doesn't get any easier, gentlemen. I've been through all of them. I've made bad decisions myself. And the thing that I've always held on to is I've made some really solid friends. And that's my recommendation to you is find those really good friends that don't take you down the path of isolation. Find the good friends and they're out there. You know, you can see right here in this group, I bet you I could pick a handful of guys that would be solid friends to my children. They're out there, but you're gonna have to look a little bit harder in today's culture. You know, because a lot of these parents are coming, a lot of these kids that you're gonna be in school with are from broken families. They're from dysfunctional families. They have not been educated like your parents have taught you. A lot, like you guys are very unique. So that you're gonna have to look a little bit harder to find these friends, but they're out there. You'll find them, and then be that friend.